He got into Q2 via Q1 a couple of rounds ago as well in Le Mans, but for Cormac Buchanan, he's going to have to try and repeat that this weekend. He had a bit of a very, very quiet weekend overall in Catalonia. I didn't really see much of him.
No, unfortunately, we only saw him for one corner in the Grand Prix itself on the Sunday, when he was rather the unfortunate victim of someone else's accident. At the moment, both of the Code Motorsports Bowie riders are in with a good shout here. Moody, as you mentioned, super quick this morning. He's just got to find a 100th of a second as it stands at the moment to knock this young man Pini out of the top four, and Buchanan third. Just the one Q2
Pini might be just, he's very, very chill. He's riding around like he's on a track day. I mean, I'll be, with 90 seconds on the clock and they're dawdling now, they had to do an absolute flying outlap. They're not going to make it.
Not been synchronising their watches, have they, down in the pit lane, this Moto3 deal. We haven't seen this before, we have to say, in Moto3 qualifying sessions, but you think they should have learned by now. The riders who I think will get round with that little group who went out about 20 seconds earlier. So you've got Batelli, Cruzen, I think Carraro's on the back of that train as well, who left the pit lane with them. One of the Mitani's potentially in that as well. There's Cruzen at the front of the picture, so he's leading the field, so he's dropped back. He's with Pini on the 94 bike, so these riders might just get round. The Leopard team are confident, of course Pini is sat in fourth, so it's against Batelli, the rider that could potentially take aim at it.
Very stony face down there in that Leopard racing box. Let's see, they're at Scarp Korea, 45 seconds to try and get around.
The world sector here takes around 22 seconds, by the way, so you need to be out of Biondetti 2 in the next 15 seconds.
Let's see what they've got. They're running out very slowly here at Corintio. Well, this is going to be a real red face moment, let alone red sectors. There's going to be some very, very red faces down in pit lane and behind the helmets here of some of this. They're 20 seconds away from home. This is done, and this is quite an embarrassment, I've got to say, for quite a few of them out there. Ryder Riarte it is, with P1 at the moment ahead of Hakim Denise, Buchanan and Pini. They're in the last corner, and the clock is now in single digits. That is their session done.
The only riders who left the pit lane late have gone over the line are Batelli and Mitani. They're the only two, because Salmella is on his own around the racetrack. He's not improving, he's not getting in the top four. Everyone else, their session is over.
Even the marshal is shaking his head, they're waving the flag. I mean, what are they doing? It's just...
Wasn't even close.
Amir Couture can't believe it either, but I don't know why he can't believe it. They kept Pini in the box. Pini's not elected to go out. What on earth was the strategy there? That was all done and dusted before we even went out. And I'll tell you what, Guido Pini, he's got to hope this chap here on your screen, and Rico Salmella, who's in 7th, is not on a good lap. And I can tell you, at the moment, Matteo Batelli at the halfway point is more than enough. 2/10. If he can hold on to half a second, he goes and puts Pini out.
Do you know how I reckon they've botched this? I bet they're all sat in the pit waiting for Uriarte to go out. But of course, Uriarte's in P1. He doesn't need to go out. He doesn't need to set the tone for everyone else. He can just let the clock run down and do his own thing. Bertelli was wise to it, and the MTA squad sent him out early to make sure he gets round. And this could punt Pini out of the top 4.
If you're not on a live lap, you cannot improve your lap time. I don't understand the strategy at all. I sympathise with them that they need slipstream. But there was a group that went out, Lewis. There was a group that went out. There was no need to be dawdling around. We said on the pit lane exit, this is going to be tight. They weren't even close. They weren't even at the exit of Vicini when the checkered flag came out. Well, he's going to run and run. Matteo Bertelli is going to run and run to the line. This could be pretty embarrassing for Guido Pini then. Bertelli, the number 18, half a second off after 3 sectors. Does he go 4th? Of course he does, because he got there and he got his lap underway. I tell you what, there is going to be some very, very stern conversations down there at Leopard. I don't think Miodrag Couture, the chap in the middle in the white shirt, quite knows what to think. The only positive is that Guido Pini somehow got a better grid position than he had here last year. He's gone up from 21st to 19th, but that is not cutting Leopard mustard at all. Uriarte, Danny, Buchanan fantastic in 3rd, and Bertelli with that late lap in 4th. The team have communicated to Pini that he's 5th. I can't wait to see his reaction when he comes in the pit.
I don't know if Leopard have a watch sponsor, but they might want to sign one up because they didn't really get their watches synchronized at all, did they?
I think they do. That's the worst bit.
So, yeah, they might not be the best advertisement for them. In that occasion, not that we're blaming the sponsor for that. Clearly, the blame lands on Leopard and their strategy in that session. So, Bertelli, for, I guess, the phrase, you've got to be in it to win it, comes to mind. Bertelli was in it at the end of qualifying 1, and his reward is Q2.
It is indeed, and I think we can cross down to pit lane where Al is already sniffing out that big story. Matteo Bertelli sneaks right in at the end.
Yeah, exactly that, gents. Alessandro, a great job from Matteo Bertelli to get in there. What do you make of the tactics as well? Running out of time, but your boy didn't.
In the end, it's just a psychological question because every time within the group, this is a bullshit because every time is not a good image for this category, and in the end, alone pushing is like this that we have to do, and now we try to do the same with both.
Good luck in Q2.
Thank you.
Just apologies there. I think we caught it correctly what Alessandro Tanucci said, so apologies if it was picked up there to all of you and find his language slightly colourful, but it's adrenaline pumping at this stage of the weekend. At the end of the day, Alessandro Tanucci's got both of his chaps up there in Q2, and great job by Matteo Bertelli, who's come good. He shouldn't really be down here in Q1, you've got to say, but he's got the business done. He's up there in Q2 and got a chance to find the pole, as is this man on your screen, Hakim Danish.
Danish, as mentioned, big crash to start the weekend. Good recovery for Hakim up into 2nd place. So rookies 1st and 2nd in that section, Uriarte and Danish. Of course, disappointing for Pini in 5th place. You have to say Moodley will be slightly disappointed having started today so well. He did a 1:55 flat this morning. Unfortunately, he was a second and a half down on that in the crucial Q1 session. Uriarte then moves through to qualifying 2, keeps up his 100% Q2 record so far this season. Danish, Buchanan and Bertelli joining. Pini 5th from Moodley, O'Gorman 7th, which will lead him 21st on the grid. But of course, he did come through the order from a loaded grid position in Barcelona. Salmela 8th from Cruces, Ramastor for 10th, Carraro down in 11th, missable home qualifying for him, and Zen Matani 12th in that Q1 session, which ended in rather farcical circumstances. Not for Brian Uriarte though, who heads through to Q2. The Moto3 battle for pole is on the way next.
Magical Magello there. This is the pole shootout in Moto3. We've had Q1. Brian Uriarte is going to join Hakim Danish, Cormac Buchanan and Matteo Bertelli. They are also up there in the battle for P1 here in Moto3 qualifying. It doesn't feature Guido Pini. Unfortunately, terrible strategy down there over in Leopard. That's really cost him a chance to move through. And El, if I'm correct, you've got an update. What is it?
Yeah, no, I was just speaking to the team to ask basically what happened, and Mirjak basically said to me whilst we were switching from Q1 to Q2, and said we told Guido, and obviously the other team managers would have told the other riders as well, to push on the outlap. And I saw Christian Lundberg in the back of the box giving Guido a bit of a dressing down and saying, look, you need to push on the outlap. So it doesn't seem like it was a team fault. Obviously the team might blame the rider instead of the team, but it did seem like Mirjak and a lot of other team members told their riders to push on that outlap, and they didn't do so, and it's cost Guido.
Don't go anywhere else, because I want to throw back down to you if I can, because what I can't understand is that we knew up here in commentary that when they were leaving pit lane it was already going to be tight. Surely they must have known. What's the atmosphere like down there? That Mirjak looks fuming up what we saw on the TV screens up here.
Yeah, no, in Leopard, absolutely. You know, you heard from Alessandro Tanucci as well. He sent his rider out in time. Matteo Bertelli was the guinea pig, basically. Team managers had dotted all of pit lane, not stood outside their box, and on the radios to the team members saying when the riders go out, they send the riders out and they needed to push, and simply they didn't. And obviously I went up to Leopard to obviously get the latest story, and Guido Pini was sat in the back of the box, and yeah, the Leopard's racing team were not happy at all. Mirjak caught eyes with me and just shook his head. Obviously I got a quick chat with him as well. So yeah, very disappointed team members down here, and especially for the home hero. You know, he was P4 and needed a lap time and didn't get round to the checkered flag, and yeah, not happy down here in some of the teams.
Cheers for that, El. To be fair, I sympathise with Mirjak Couture, because every time I see you, I shake my head as well. So fair enough, Mirjak's got one thing in common with me. Just to touch on what we saw, because we were talking about Guido Pini not managing to get through, and the strategy and his strategy, the team strategy, X, Y, Z. It's going to run and run, but let's just talk about who's coming up in this session. Scott Ogden, who's on your screen right now, was P1 fastest yesterday, 55.8, saw him lead the charge in Moto3 ahead of Marco Morelli, Adrian Fernandez, David Munoz, Valentin Peroni, David Almanza, Joel Esteban, Ryusei Yamanaka, Vader Patama, and Jesus Rios. Joel Kelso, Alvaro Carpi, Eddie O'Shea, and championship leader Max Keeles. They were your 14 riders through, and as I said just before we cut down to Brian Ariati, Hakeem Danish, Cormac Buchanan from New Zealand, and home hero Matteo Bertelli are going to be your 18 riders battling out for pole and setting the front 6 rows of this grid. Lewis, let's park Q1 conversation there for a moment. We'll come on to it, I'm sure, as this session gets underway, but great to see, after what was a tricky Catalonia, the likes of Scott Ogden back to what we know he's capable of and leading into Moto3 qualifying.
Sure, we will come back to that discussion, because there's every chance Q2 could end in very similar fashion. But Ogden, who does have pedigree around this circuit, front row qualifier here, of course, last season, even if his race ended, unfortunately, with a collision on the final lap, proving once again yesterday in practice just how valuable the slipstream is, which is why we saw the fun and games at the end of Q1, because they were all trying to wait for a rider to follow so they could get that slipstream. It's all about finding that balance between timing all that correctly and finding the right rear wheel to follow. I don't think it's going out on a limb to say that if you do a lap on your own in this Q2 session, you're probably not going to be on pole position.
You're probably not going to be on pole position, but you'll get a banker at least, and that is just as important. The main thing is you're already up there into the Q2 session, so okay, it's not a benefit if you're down in the 5th row, the 6th row, but you can really make waves, and maybe a banker, depending on yellow flags, lap time cancellations, if you exceed track limits, is more important than looking for a slipstream and leaving it late.
We have seen generally huge freight trains in Moto3 races here over the years. I think last year's winning margin of just over a tenth of a second was the biggest Moto3 winning margin we've ever had around this circuit, and we've been racing in this particular iteration of the lightweight class since 2012. So generally, even if you are on the 4th, 5th, 6th row, that does not mean you can't challenge for the very front.
It was the only time the gap between first and second has been more than a tenth of a second. All the other Moto3 finishes have been less than a tenth of a second here in Mugello. I've got to say, just to touch on something that I hope you guys can hear at home, I know Lewis can hear it up here next to me. I love the fact that the fans have got the track action to look forward to, and they're still blowing up a chainsaw or whatever it is on the hills here in Mugello. It is an absolutely brilliant atmosphere, fever pitch, on track and off it. And yeah, someone's revving the knackers off a motorcycle somewhere or a scooter somewhere. And really, Mugello, even when there's no bikes on track, there's always an engine about to explode somewhere.
It's usually just you that's on the red finish at this stage of the weekend, isn't it? Good to see you've got company.
Redlining all the way.
Q2 underway then, and 18 riders battling it out for pole position. As you mentioned, the World Championship leader Max Kilos, I think he's fencing straight through to Q2 automatically yesterday, given the nonsense that went on in Q1. That might be quite a crucial moment in Kilos' weekend. I think we've learned after Barcelona that even when the World Championship leader flies under the radar, he's generally going to be there when it matters most.
Absolutely. Max Kilos does what he needs to do when he needs to do it. He doesn't need to top every single free practice session. He just needs to top the main session, and that is arguably Sunday afternoon or morning for Moto3 as we head out on track. A little bit of dawn there. I tell you what, talking about rev limiters, I will explode if I see a carbon copy of what happened in Q1 or anything even similar at that stage of a session. You've got to be out there, you've got to be setting a lap time, you've got to get your head down on the opening lap, on your out lap. You cannot leave it so late, and these guys will hopefully have seen all of that in their boxes, in their tents, wherever they're located, and be thinking, we are not going to make the same mistake that Guido Pini, and not just Pini, he's the one who missed out, but the other riders who were there who didn't get the chance because the timing was off.
Yeah, because they were just looking for certain someone. I think that someone in Q1 was Uriarte that they were waiting to follow. Who will they be looking to follow this time? And I guess the problem is everyone wants to follow. As a result of that, nobody wants to lead onto that main straight because you're just going to be giving an advantage, a free advantage to your competition. Unsurprisingly, Kilo is not interested in any of that. He is going to go about this Q2 session, at least initially, all on his own.
Absolutely the right strategy, I think, at this stage of the session, as you say, Lewis. Early doors, just get those bankers in. And I spoke with a couple of the team members down there in the CFO Gaviota Aspar team, and, you know, Max did all the laps he did yesterday on his own, and yes, scraped through to 14th, but he's got great pace. He's still one of the pre-Grand Prix favourites for tomorrow, and he's done, as I said, what he needed to do. Let's see if he changes tact and goes for a more group setting as the minutes count down here. This is Adrian Fernandez. I'll tell you what, Adrian Fernandez is another one who's got great race pace, it seems, this weekend, particularly, again, on his own. Doesn't seem like he needs help to do the lap, but the thing is, no one needs help. It's as soon as that slipstream comes into play, down the front straight, and then also at various other points. I mean, I always think out of Arrabbiata, that's a little bit of a place as well, over towards Correntire, out of Pelagio, and then down towards the final corner out of Biondetti. There's another couple of places where combined probably give you a 10th and a half as well, which can be vital.
And a fraction wide, it's turn 4 Materazzi, only about a metre or so, but could make all the difference. He's got the two NTA KTMs right behind him. Esteban, of course, was already into Q2, and Bettelli, who had his brain switched on and his clock synchronised at the end of qualifying one to book his place here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the best thing about that is, as I said in Q1, both of Alessandro Tanucci's machines now are out there. In this session, they can work together. You don't need to wait for the big breakthrough. You can use each other's slipstream. We've seen it so often before. One lap around, it's one rider leading. The next lap around, it's the other rider leading. That's how teamwork works. We're waiting for our first lap to come in. This is Max Kilos. You're just into the final corner now. Let's see what the championship leader has got in the locker. He is your championship leader by more than 2 Grand Prix worth of points. He has been in mighty form in 2026. Did we expect anything else? Of course we didn't. His opening gambit is a 55.8. That is respectable, but it's not going to be your pole time. There's a lot of time left in this track to check, even if the temps have come up.
Right, we need to keep an eye on his Kelso. He looks like he's going very quickly through the third sector. The Honda Fernandez opted with Yamanaka initially onto pole position on the 55, and Kelso did go onto the front row of the grid on a 55.6. Yamanaka did take the first podium of his Moto3 career here, so potentially this is where we can expect a return to form for the Japanese.
Let's wait and see whether Ryusei Yamanaka has found what he's been missing in the opening quarter of this 2026 Moto3 season. We're seeing him now, he's just following Vader Patama, who's had a very up and down weekend. A bit slow in the wet, a bit slow this morning, but again, like Keyless has done. Oh, 54.880. That is a rapid time from Hakim Danish, just to finish off on Ryusei Yamanaka and the light Raider Patama. Patama was up there in the top 10 when it came to matter yesterday in practice, and like Max Keyless, just does what he needs to do when he needs to do it. So just keep an eye on Patama in this session, but I've got to say, a 54.880, it's still just under a second off the lap record set by David Alonso, but that is a very, very fast time from Hakim Danish.
Second quicker than he went in Q1 when he was second overall in that session. That's a heck of a lap from Hakim Danish. He's a quarter of a second clear of Uriarte. It's a rookie front row of the grid at the moment. Danish, Uriarte and Jesus Rios, who was so impressive until the very closing stages of the Catalan Grand Prix when he crashed on the penultimate lap. What a performance he put in. Admittedly at a circuit that has often suited him in the past, but Rios looking like he's not just a one-weekend wonder.
Yeah, indeed. I'll tell you what, that's the first 54 of the weekend from Hakim Danish. I'm not being all excited about that because it's going to be the time to beat, and I'm fairly sure it's going to be beaten. So Hakim Danish, let's wait and see. We've got half a second under David Almanza, is absolutely flying around this Mugello circuit on our timing screens. Let's take Adrian Fernandez to the line. Lost a little bit in that third sector. Let's see what he's got. Cross line moves up to fourth. Carpe, he stays 10th but does improve his lap time, but we need to be seeing David Almanza, who is absolutely on rails. He's going to be in that third sector very, very soon. I think he's just at the back of all this, and again doing it on his own, so that is also very, very impressive from Almanza. I've got to say he's lost a lot of time in that third sector though, so Almanza, the number 22, he's probably not going to get pole by virtue he's got no slipstream. This is to the line. Hakim Danish has got a bit of slipstream. He's already P1 as he moved the goal post. Got this time around, lost a bit of time, maybe a bit tripped up over Jesus Rios. Oh, David Almanza, he has gone top. Well, that is provisional pole, but he lost a little bit of time in that fourth sector. I'm surprised he didn't lose more. So that number 22, Little Murdy Dynamo, Intact GP KTM, has obviously got plenty of poke and top end. And that's what's got David Almanza onto provisional pole here as we approach the halfway point in Moto3 Q2.
Earlier on, 6 different riders have been on pole already in Moto3. Almanza is one of them. He was the very first pole sitter of the 2020 season. Of course, the season that was then interrupted by an injury that he sustained when he crashed out of the lead battle with Keyless back in Brazil. At the moment, he's leading that trio of rookies, and the rookies are sandwiched by the two intact pair, the two Davids, and Almanza currently on pole, and Munoz in fifth, ahead of another rookie, Marco Morelli, currently holds sixth.
I'll tell you what, there's a few new names coming up to the fore in Moto3. What we're having a look at here is this Danish trying to get under Jesus Rios. He is indeed. Just lets him know he's there on the exit of turn 15, and that's probably why he lost a little bit of time, I've got to say. So Jesus Rios has been Danished at the exit of that final corner. Just to recap your pole sitters so far this year, as you correctly say, Lewis, Burriran went to David Almanza, Joel Esteban came to the fore in Brazil, Alvaro Carpe in stateside in the USA, Max Keyless for his home GP in Jerez in Spain, Adrian Fernandez at the French GP at Le Mans, and then Valentin Peroni, a pole, the first pole of his season last time out, and the first non-Spanish pole. Technically, he does race under an Argentinian flag, but he is from Barcelona. He was born there, so we'll still take the different Argentine pole back.
So Keyless and Peroni in question, those two great riders you mentioned, 15th and 16th at the moment, having done their work since Keyless did on his own, and that is the effect that necessarily Keyless might have been holding something in reserve on that lap just to make sure he's got a lap time on the board, but he came 10th of a second below it off David Almanza, who holds that original pole position. So the rookies going well, as mentioned, second, third and fourth, Danish, Uriarte and Rios. Good first lap too for Kelso, he's in 8th place, and Walton, who as we already mentioned was fastest yesterday, he's currently on those front 3 rows of the grid too. I think he would settle for something in that top 10.
David Almanza gets back into the box, and Manu Gonzalez vacates the area just ever so slightly. Of course, Manu Gonzalez coming up very, very soon in Moto2 qualifying. Me and myself, Lewis and El will all be bringing you that action very, very soon. as we get a lovely slow-mo. This is down into the braking area at turn 1. Very, very nice indeed. Seeing the Moto3 freight train progress and start another lap round here at Mugello. We have got just over 5 minutes or so remaining in this one, plus whatever time's left to complete the lap at the end. Lewis, at the moment, I'm looking, all riders covered by a second, so this is still pretty wide open, and the biggest margin, you've got to say, probably between second and third, and then between fifth and sixth, so between Felicia Nuriarte and Morelli.
Well, KTM front row at the moment too, with Armand Felicia Nuriarte. Honda's in fourth for Rios. Next Honda then will be Fernandez. Kelso 2 on a Honda in 8th place. So it's advantage KTM at this stage of the session. And I do wonder for Max Quiles here whether he is still so confident in his own ability that he's going to go out there all on his own and do this lap. But given that he's down in 15th place at the moment, does he feel compelled to go with the group, go with the herd of Moto3 riders and try and pick up some toe down the main straight?
I think he's going to have to, because you look at who's behind him. Valentin Peroni, you expect that he's going to move up. Lewis, Matteo Bertelli, likewise. Cormac McCannon can fire a lap in, as he did yesterday, and as he did today, to move through into Q2 from Q1. So Max Quiles won't want to be starting down on the 5th or 6th rows of the grid. I think we're going to get a small carbon copy of what we saw in Q1. This time around, perhaps they'll get out a bit sooner, though. No such worries for Adrian Fernandez, who chases Joel Esteban. We heard contrasting thoughts down there in both of those boxes. Pini has obviously not made it through, but Leopard do have one rider in there, as we just wait and see to see exactly who's going to follow who and who's going to blink first, Lewis. That's another thing, as you said earlier, no one wants to be the leader.
No, I think you've got to make sure you're out of the pit lane and then just sort it out on the outlap. I know we don't like to see riders messing about the outlap, saying after you, but ultimately someone's going to actually go for this. They've got around a minute and a quarter at a push to get themselves out of pit lane, as we've got Adrian Fernandez saying to Joel Esteban, I'm not going to give you this advantage, Joel, you're going to do this all on your own.
Well, I don't think Adrian Fernandez down in 7th place is in too much of a position to be a picker here. I think he's going to just have to go for it and hope that Joel Esteban can't stay with him. It doesn't really matter anyway. I mean, Adrian Fernandez needs to do his own lap. Max Quiles was off the bike, now he's on the bike, so let's see if he... I remember yesterday in practice, now he did get out there, and I think it was yesterday in practice, or was it this morning, can't remember, but there was one session where he went out, it was yesterday, because I was chatting about this with the team. Down into turn 1, he was a massive gaggle of riders, he led them all out, and by turn 2 and 3 he'd already broke them, so maybe Max Quiles is confident in his ability to do that more than it is to do it all on his own. But we'll have to wait and see. Fernandez and Esteban have started flying laps, just less than 2.5 minutes left until we find out to see who is going to be your Italian GP Moto3 pole sitter.
Eddie O'Shea and Joel Kelso for MLab, they've gone out of pit lane now. They, of course, can work together. The rest are now going. This group, with 2 minutes and 13 seconds to go, they are right up against it. They've got Uriarte through your screen. Then comes Yamanaka and Buchanan. And I have to say, Max Quiles, you might be stuck down in 15th, I'm afraid, Max.
Lewis, I can't believe it. I think we're seeing this again. Quiles, he's not going to get by. He's not even left the pit lane.
Finish while he's there.
Quiles moving up on Almanza. I mean, Almanza at least is provisional pole, but I'm sure the 54.8 is going to move on anyway. I just can't believe what we're seeing here today. I'd be shocked if Max Quiles gets around here. I mean, he's got for an outlap. What are you seeing down here? I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a word with Nico Tyrrell, but they're very angry down here. Tyrrell knows that Max Quiles is not going to get round for another lap. I saw Macaulay Webb, the Grip N-Lap team boss, saying to Eddie O'Shea and Joel Kelso, you've got to go now. That's why we saw Eddie and Joel leave the pit lane pretty quickly, and the Asphalt team know that Quiles is not going to get another lap here.
Was Nico... don't go anywhere. Was Nico telling Max to go out? Because Morelli's out there on a lap at the moment. He's only a few hundred metres up the road from Quiles, but surely they must have been told to get moving. Yeah, they were. They were telling... Well, they weren't telling Quiles to go now, but they were keeping an eye on the clock, and it was the team's tactic to wait for as long as possible. They know Quiles needed a bit of slipstream, but no matter how good he is, to get out there and get up the order, and it's a bit of a mistake, I think. Unbelievable. I just can't believe a team of Asphalt, a team of Leopard's stature. The other thing is,
Leopard can't say unbelievable.
you're going to go out, do what Adrian Fernandez has done, and you might, by chance, pick up some slipstream. Adrian Fernandez waving his hands around a couple of moments ago. Well, Joel Esteban, what if he slipstream by him? He's got a reference then for the lap. I'm lost at it. I'm completely lost.
By my reckoning, I think we're going to get Kelso, O'Shea, and probably Pratama, as long as he's not been dawdling on the outlap, over the line. And I think from then on, I think the rest are really struggling. 20 seconds to go, so you need to be right into the final quad now. Buchanan's got half a chance up the road. Then I think behind him is Salmela. Morelli might just get there, but the rest behind him are struggling. Jorge Martinez Aspar knows, he already knows that Max Quiles is stuck in 15th at the very best.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cormac Buchanan, I don't think has got through. They've all missed it. I can't believe it. The second session today, and they've all missed it in that group.
3 riders got over.
Jorge Martinez Aspar is going to be spitting feathers at this. I mean, Max Quiles, it was 15th. It's like Guido Pini. He doesn't have the opportunity to now go and improve himself, and he didn't have the position to fall back on. And quite correct. I'm not surprised Jorge Martinez Aspar is storming out the back of the Aspar box, because it's madness. I mean, Marco Morelli at least is on the second rope. There's something to salvage there. But Max Quiles is your championship leader. Okay, he's got a massive points advantage, but you're now surrounded by a load of riders who A, you wouldn't normally be riding around with, and B, San Donato with the heaviest braking points from one of the longest grid run-ups. I just can't believe it. Let's take these two across the line. Adrian Fernandez is on a lap. He's going to give Joel Esteban a little bit here. Tell you what, Joel Esteban, this could be putting him, if he holds on to this, onto the front row. Joel Esteban, your Brazilian GP pole sitter, goes 5th, middle of that second row. That pushes Morelli back a row as well. So, insult to injury for Jorge Martinez Aspar. Where else are we looking here?
It's the MLab Hondas, Kiko. There'll be an element of poetic justice here if Kelso or O'Shea can get through. Kelso with a brilliant third sector. He's not got any sort of assistance down the main straight. Joel Kelso has been on the front row of the grid in Mugello before. Is he about to punish the dawdlers and the poor timekeepers down in pit lane?
Please vindicate us up here in commentary. Joel Kelso is driving to the line. He's been on the front row already for Michael Levity's team. Where does it put him? Oh, it goes 3rd. And Eddie O'Shea crosses the line. He can't improve either. He's down there in 14th, but it's a front row for Joel Kelso. Macaulay Webb right in the centre, a shot there. Absolutely fantastic stuff from the Grid MLab Racing team. The team manager happy, everyone happy, and it just proves that you don't need to dawdle.
I wonder whether O'Shea gave him a little bit of a slipstream to the line to start that lap. We haven't seen the start of that, but he was clearly thanking O'Shea, wasn't he, his teammate. Buchanan has had a crash late on. Buchanan has already taken the checkered flag, we understand, on our time screen. Either way, Buchanan will qualify in 18th place. And out of all of the nonsense, David Almanza, by getting his job done early, is our first repeat pole sitter of 2026.
It is not 7 heaven in terms of pole sitters, but it is for David Almanza. I've got to say, Al, I'm going to cross back down to you because I know who you've got. And that strategy, Al, Joel Kelso's on the front row. I don't know why all the other teams can't just get out there on track like the MLab boys did.
Yeah, exactly that, Kiko. Down here in Macaulay, you got his strategy spot on, sorry. I was watching you and you pulled your boys out just in the nick of time, and Joel stuck it on the front row at the end. You must be really pleased with that.
Yeah, you know, I'm really happy to actually get the result here this weekend. We've done really, really good job this weekend so far. So yeah, it's nice to actually be rewarded with a front row. That's just, you know, the level of the team this year is incredibly high, and we planned for situations like this, and we knew exactly that the other guys wouldn't make the lap, so that's why we went, and yeah, it's nice to actually put it on the front row for him.
Great job, and enjoy the front row, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Speak soon.
Yeah, cheers, Macaulay. Great job all round there down in the Grid MLab team. Brilliant job as well by Hakim Denise. Got that lap in so early. David Almanza's taking all the plaudits down in Park Ferme. Oh dear, this will be very, very interesting because Max Quiles, well, he is not going to be happy. The team will be able to say, well, we told him to go out. Why send him out so close to the line? I just do not understand it. Max Quiles sits down. He is down in 15th place on the grid for tomorrow, Lewis. I've got to say, I make that his by far worst qualifying of the year. 11th was his previous worst. That was back in Brazil, and I think we can kind of excuse everyone in Brazil because it was such an odd weekend all round. For Max Quiles, 15th, he's going to have to come some to repeat what he did on Sunday here last year.
got some impressive powers of recovery as Max Keeler, but he's going to need them from there. The World Championship leader deep in the pack as far as Italian Grand Prix. Of course, I guess the team's not trying to give them an excuse or an out here, but to try and play devil's advocate. They clearly feel that the incentive of the slipstream is worth the risk of not getting round to the end of the lap at all, and that's ultimately what they were weighing up down there in pit lane. Was it worth it not getting round at all and just dawdling around? Not only is it Max Keeler's his worst qualifying of the season, it's one of, if not his worst ever in Moto3. Don't think for 1 second though he can't win from there though.
Max Keeler's will be up in the top 10, I reckon, by the end of the first lap.
A monster slipstream, if nothing else, down to Sandonato.
Maybe even by the end of the first run down towards turn 1. You just never know. But I've got to say, yeah, to add on to that, I see what Asmar are doing, because they weren't the only ones who missed out.
Yeah.
The rest